Hey guys, hope you're all doing well and staying safe out there. Today we've got another video on the Hotone Ampero Mini and why I think it can replace your Eventide H9 on a budget, or if you can't afford an Eventide H9, this can be that pedal for you on a massive budget. Okay, so let's talk about Ampero Mini. So basically it's the same technology as the original Hotone Ampero, but in a small footprint. And I think it can do a really good job at being an Eventide H9 on your pedal board, but on a massive budget because it's just so much cheaper than the H9. So we've got a bunch of different modules. So we can have amp simulators, we can have, every effect under the sun, we can have all delays, all reverbs, things like that. You can assign these foot switches to turn those effects on and off, which is very cool. And it just sounds really good, like all really high quality sounding effects. I think this can do the job of sitting on your pedal board and filling in the gap for any effects you might not have. So this is my pedal board here. So I've got all my kind of drive, distortion, fuzz covered. I've got my favorite super chorus pedal, my favorite modulation pedal. But if I need other modulations, I don't have anything here other than the Univibe in this wire, which I use sometimes. But I've got all the flanges, vibratos, tremolos, phases, everything in that pedal if I need more modulation. As you can see, I've got a bunch of delay and reverb options as well between these two pedals, but sometimes you want something really weird and wacky. This can do that, or you just want a simple spring reverb if your amp doesn't have it. This can put it on there as well. So it's just great to have this pedal as a kind of Swiss Army knife, filling in the gaps of what I don't have on this board. It means I can keep my board small, keep it to the essentials that I really do love, and just get all the other sounds from this pedal here. So this was inspired by Josh Scott's from JHS, his old pedal board, where he had a H9 sitting on the end of it to cover all the effects he didn't have on his board. I thought that was a really good idea, and it kept his board small, and it was just a great way to, have every effect under the sun, but in a practical package. Eventide H9 pedals are a ridiculous amount of money. As you can see, this pedal board, it's not cheap, but I haven't spent, thousands on it. So I was looking for something like that on a budget. Found this, and I think this does a very respectable job at doing the H9 thing on a budget. So that's what I was trying to achieve. So I'm keen to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Please go watch that video where Josh goes through his pedal board with Paul Gilbert, so you can kind of see, what he uses it for. I think you'll see that this can be used to do the exact same thing in a much cheaper and arguably much more simple package. Okay, so as you can see, I have the Ampero Mini sitting at the end of my main pedal board here. It's currently set up on a patch that I've made where I'm able to add a few different effects to my board, just like you would if you had an Eventide H9 or something like that. So let's have a look what I've got going on. So I have a vibrato pedal set to one of these foot switches. I believe it's this one. Yeah, so when I press that foot switch, you can see that the vibrato turns on. This foot switch, I believe, is set to a tremolo. So over here, you can see that will turn that on. Now what is cool is I can also set the tempo for both those effects by doing the tap tempo switch over here. Now, of course, what's really cool is if I wanted to change what effect this pedal is turning on, I just go into edit and we can change it to, let's say a phaser. So let's increase the rate. Let's see how that sounds. Actually, let's make the rate sync. There we go. Cool, so now this button turns on and off a phaser. So it's really cool because you can basically just add whatever effect you need for a particular song, assign it to one of these 2 foot switches and tap it in with the tempo or whatever, and you've got all the effects you'd ever need. This amp I'm using at the moment doesn't have a reverb, so we might go to the reverb section and just add a little bit of spring reverb. Let's turn the phaser off. We might turn the compressor on as well. And of course, the rest of the pedal board sounds really good combined with these effects. Even though it's a digital pedal, all the analog effects blend really well. So if we wanted to turn on a bit of drive, so it sits really well with the pedal board, it combines with the effects really well, and it's just really cool that whatever you need, you can add a different effect to whatever particular song you're doing. Just like Josh Scott's Eventide H9 on his old pedal board, it's basically doing that on a super budget compared to the H9. So you can assign these 2 foot switches to turn on anything, whether that's the delay, the reverb, the amp, or these different effects, which is really cool. Just whatever is here, you can basically assign those 2 foot switches. Let's see if we wanted to use another effect other than the phaser. So here we go. Even though I've got a Boss Super Chorus on my board, which is my favorite chorus of all time, let's see how this sounds in here. Oop. Well, that was me butchering Nirvana, but you get the idea. We've just added a chorus. What if we wanted to change it to something else? Let's say a flanger. I think this is a flanger. It might be a bass flanger. Let's try the normal flanger. So really handy to just have at the end of the board. So we've added a little bit of reverb. Let's turn that back on, and we can add whatever effect we would like. So I've got that saved at the moment to turn on a trem and a grand vibrato with no reverb, because usually I am using an amp with reverb, but it's always there if I need it. What if I didn't have a amplifier that I was using and I wanted to go straight in the sound desk? Okay, so I've just done some rerouting, so now we're going straight into my USB audio interface, and we have an amp simulator turned on. So we've got a black twin amplifier into a black twin 2x12 cabinet, because that is the closest sound to what I would usually use, which is my PRS SE30 amplifier on the clean channel going into a 2x12 cabinet, and then I would just use my pedals to get all my dirt sounds usually. So we've got a bit of reverb as standard on this patch, because obviously the amp doesn't have reverb, but this is what the amp sounds like. So I've still got my tremolo and vibrato that I can turn on and off. So we have our vibrato here. I'm turning the compressor back on as well. the tremolo. And what's really cool is that even though it's a digital amp model, the drive pedals sound really, really good with it. So let's turn the tremolo off and let's turn some drive and fuzz and things like that so you can hear how good this digital amplifier takes pedals. We wanted some really heavy distortion. Whoa! I don't know what happened with the light there, but it just went crazy. Probably looked pretty cool, I imagine. Alright, let's do some fuzz, see how that works. Well, I know it works very well, actually. The light's having a bit of fun again, but that's alright. Let's test out some delays and reverbs and things. So you can see it integrates really well. It can be your amplifier if you need it to. It can be some extra effects if you need it to. All right, let's just turn that off. But it's very cool. I definitely think if you're looking for something like an Eventide H9 on a budget, this is absolutely the pedal for you. Fits on the pedal board really well, as you can see. It's actually not even the biggest pedal on this board still. I think the Memory Boy is a little bit bigger and this wire is definitely bulkier. But it does really well. The effects, the sounds are super high quality. With the amp simulator, you do need a bit of a noise gate on because the amp sim makes a fair bit of noise. But the multi-effects patch where there's no amp simulator on, no need for a noise gate whatsoever. It just works as a fantastic do-all digital multi-effects. It's very cool. Let's maybe try a few more effects just so you can get a better idea. Let's try some delay. So some cool, unique, different delays. I'm not going to play anything in particular, just so you can see it's got some unique sounds. So some really cool reverbs as well. I particularly like that North Star reverb. If you're looking for an Eventide H9, but you're on a strict budget, this is the pedal for you. Okay, so let me know what you think of this pedal in the comments below. I'm interested to hear if any of you guys have an Eventide H9, how you think it may compare. Obviously, Eventide have been doing this for years and years, and the quality of their effects is second to none, but a lot of people just can't spend that much money, and I think this is a great alternative for a budget. So please leave your comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.